Hello, lovely people. This week in the Jesus Storybook Bible, we are looking at sisters Rachel and Leah. Rachel being the pretty, attractive, popular girl, and Leah not so much, and how Laban tricked Jacob to marrying the not so pretty girl before marrying the pretty and popular one. I mean, there's a lot in there anyway that's quite off, if you ask me. And I just wanted to change things a bit with YouTube. Rather than just give a couple of my thoughts on the chapter, which I will still do, I want to give some parenting tips on looking at this story. And yeah, just thought I'd give a few bits of help rather than just my thoughts. I thought that might be more practically helpful. So I have used an old photo, please forgive me, in regards to Leah and Rachel, just because it's my favourite photo. My friend Rachel did the design for the Rachel and Leah picture, and Rachel is actually gorgeous, like the gorgeous Rachel in the Bible, but she has a great heart as well, and she created this beautiful, very funny picture, and so I wanted to use that again. So firstly, I would encourage parents that you do not need to go for something quite so amazing as what my friend Rachel has done, but a good way of doing faces, if you wanted to do faces, would be to do wraps or pizza bases, and then you can use peppers and cucumbers and olives and ham and cheese, and making I guess an ugly face and making a beautiful face. The other thing I would suggest is making something ugly but the taste being amazing, because actually what this story tells us is that God went after Leah's heart, and not just her looks and popularity. And so you could have something which on the outside doesn't look overly good, but on the inside is just beautiful, and teach into that. And I guess with this whole subject, in particular with my girls, we've talked about women in the Bible, and talked about how God didn't want people to have more than one wife. That's not a right thing anyway, and talk about the value of women, and just talk about how God looks at what's inside us. And so it's unfair to just say that, just because someone's pretty, God's not looking at the heart and it's ugly. That's not what the story is. I think the story is that God looked at Leah and saw her heart, saw her sadness, saw that no one wanted her, saw that she was rejected. And it's through Leah that he chose to have Jesus born down the line of. And I think it's good to just talk with kids about what they think is beautiful, what they think is ugly, being able to draw in some of the proverbs that talk about what comes out of our mouth actually is what's about in our heart already. And so it'd just be good to ask kids what kind of ugly behaviour do they see at school, or in their family, or in themselves, or in me as your mum. It's a big question, but it's always good for discussion. And how does God look at that? And what does God think about riches and popularity and money and being beautiful? And we don't want to give kids the wrong impression that if they are pretty and popular, that God doesn't love them. It's just not about that. Let's not flip it to be the wrong way, but it is talking about how God looks at what's inside us. And he knows what we're carrying, he knows what we're going through, and he chooses to not always use who we think he's going to use for his projects, his ideas, his bringing people to know him. So I think it'd be just a good discussion. What do they think about Leah and Rachel? What do they think about how Laban was a bit unfair, and how Jacob worked hard? And so it's just asking kids, what do you think about that? Is there a scripture we could look at for that? Do you ever feel like Leah, or do you feel like Jacob? Do you feel like something has been cheated for you? And so just rather than just reading a story to kids, if you've got a couple of minutes, especially if you're making, faces out of wraps or stuff like that, or vegetables and fruit and that kind of thing, just taking a couple of minutes to say, do you ever feel like this character? And then just taking time at the end to just pray about it. God, sometimes I feel a bit like Leah. Sometimes I feel a bit like this character or this character, and please can you help me? And thankfully Leah was open to God's obedience, and she lived her life for him. And so just always bringing the gospel to our kids, which is what they need. So yeah, that's my little thoughts for today. And yeah, hopefully going to start just giving out more tips really in regards to what you could do with your kids to make the picture, but also go through the storybook and just draw out a couple of questions rather than just what did you think of the story, because some kids might really relate to certain characters. So yeah, that's it. All right, take care guys, bye.